test this one more time. A decent frame. Can I go over here? Can I go over here? All right, what's going on, guys? I'm False Edge. I am the creator who has been posting all of this stupid HEMA content within the past couple of months. But it's come to my attention that this channel will soon reach 100,000 subscribers, which is honestly, a position that I never thought that I would reach, and that I am deeply honored and humbled by. Because obviously this is all thanks to you guys, right? Like, yeah, I'm a good fencer, I edit videos, but like, none of this would happen unless you guys thought that it was cool, unless that you guys thought that it was interesting. And I just wanted to come and like recognize that, and I guess do a little bit of a 100,000, I guess, special little meet and greet maybe. So I really just thought that I would like start off, with who am I, right? So my name is Josh. I currently live in the United States, here in the state of Missouri. But I'm originally from North Carolina. In fact, we have another North Carolinian fencer here on YouTube, Robin Swords. In another lifetime, we would be training together, Rob. Consider yourself lucky. But yeah, how did I find myself here? I don't think it's a very uncommon story, like I was just like a little boy who liked swords, man. And, I've liked sort of swords and fantasy as far back as I can remember. If I had to put like a real moment on it, my grandmother got me a copy of Aragon by Christopher Paolini when I was like, I don't know, 11 or something like that. And that was, that was just the coolest thing. I tore through those books. In fact, somewhat recently, many years later, I actually had a chance to meet him. We did a fencing demonstration for him at his Kansas City book signing. And that was super cool. I made sure to tell him that he was the reason why I was doing what I was doing. That was a real full circle moment. He even secretly told me that in his new book there's a reference to the "End Him Rightly" meme, which is which is cool. Going back to how this all started though, and this is another story that's it's not really a regret of mine, although had I taken this route, God, it would have, oh man, I would have been an Olympian. But yeah, so when I was a kid, I did Taekwondo actually. My mom wanted us to do some sort of extracurricular activity. She put us in Taekwondo, but before that, she actually asked me and my brothers and sisters as well. She asked me, Josh, what do you want to do? We want you to do something. What do you want to do? And I told her fencing. I was like 13, 14. I told her fencing. I wanted to do fencing. But we lived in a smaller city. There just really wasn't a club around. I think she said that there was one, but it was associated with a college. It was for adults and things. So it just never happened. And so I did Taekwondo instead. And I have a black belt in Taekwondo. And the black belt thing is kind of just it's a bit of a farce. It was one of those typical martial arts schools that primarily teaches children. Sort of a black belt farm, every 6 months you get a new belt and the parents feel good and the kids feel good. And are you really walking out of the door, with true black belt capabilities? I don't think so. But it did give me a little bit of a foundation, sort of how footwork should go, how footwork feels. In fact, my kicks are still somewhat good. And so fast forward, very many years later, I'm in high school, I don't do martial arts anymore. I got into theater or whatever. I was in theater for quite some time. I'm a singer. I can't dance worth shit, which is crazy because of, my footwork and stuff. I'd always been into technology and things like that. And something that I've always taken a mild interest in was video editing. We would make sort of PowerPoint presentations in class, and mine was always the best. And it's sort of interesting to me though how that led up to here, because while I wasn't fencing yet, I was editing some videos, some memes and things like that. And that whole pursuit was also really influenced by my time doing theater and stuff. And it was just high school stuff, but you learn some things. And even to this day, my videos are really influenced and informed by my time in theater. And what is a presentation? What do we as presenters owe an audience, and what do they expect? And things like that, right? And then, you know, fast forwarding even more, how I found HEMA. I mean, dude, tale as old as time, dude. You know, I'm fucking like sitting in my room watching nerdy fucking videos on YouTube, and I come across the Polish saber video uploaded by Skolagrim, you know, Lee Smith, oh god, and Richard Marston. Lee Smith versus Richard Marston, and I remember like loving Richard Marston's style like so much. It really like sort of like, I don't know, it struck a chord with me. Just like looking back now, I know that he's not like the best fencer in the world, but like at the time, and even now, I still even feel it now. He had an elegance about him. He had a comfortability about him. And a confidence, and you know, it really spoke to me, his style in particular. And I just remember thinking like, holy shit, people do this? This is a thing that I could do? And like, yeah, I looked for a club, and I found a club, and that was it. I just kept going. And you know, I didn't really realize this at the time, but I come to find out later that like, you know, that Polish saber video was like super influential. Like apparently I was part of a sort of wave of new people like into HEMA. And like this might be a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but I don't think so. I think that Skolagrim was really responsible for that. Like, I speak to some of like the older people in HEMA, and a lot of them have said, you know, at this time period, which roughly coincided with the Skolagrim video, that there was a massive like boom in HEMA. And again, I really do like, you know, look to Skolagrim as the, you know, originator of that, which really like highlighted to me like just how powerful media can be. Like it's kind of an amazing thing where you could just like have a camera, shoot a cool like fencing match, put in some like, you know, cringe music, and millions of people see it. And then, you know, you're getting like thousands of people like into HEMA, into the sport. I think that that's such a cool thing. And yeah, so I start HEMA, right? I look online, I find a club in the closest city to me, and I start going. And I start going once a week, and it's really like, it's a small club, you know? I mean, it is a very, you know, small affair. And, you know, you can kind of tell that, like, you know, look, hey, I love these guys. I know these guys, like, personally, like, to this day. We have a good relationship. But you can just kind of tell that it's a little bit more casual. And not only just that, but, you know, you can tell when somebody's, like, an expert in something, right? When somebody really, really knows their stuff. And while they knew a lot more than me at the time, like, certainly, I could always tell that that was sort of the case, you know what I mean? And so, like, I'm at this club for about 2 years. And it's really great, you know, like I remember going in, I always wanted to learn saber. Saber was like my main thing. In fact, I wanted to learn Polish saber because of, again, that video that I'd seen. And, you know, they didn't really do saber, but they were willing to like explore that with me, which was really, you know, I'm deeply thankful for. They're mostly, you know, a longsword club. They're sort of learning as they go. It's really only like 4 people in this club, by the way. And so I start learning, right? And like I have like a little bit of like knowledge of how my body works and things like that. So I'm learning somewhat fast. And in like this time, there is this guy that shows up every now and then. His name is Mike Roth, and he is an integral part to my story. So Mike Roth is my coach. He's from Kansas City. The reason that he was sort of around was because, you know, he was like moving jobs or whatever. He thought that he was going to have to move to the city that I was in, but that turned out not to be the case. And so as I'm learning and growing and sort of coming to the realization that I'm outgrowing this club, Mike Roth was always like in the back of my head. Like I should learn from Mike. And so what I end up doing is I end up leaving the club, and I am now traveling once a week to Kansas City to learn from Mike Roth. Mike Roth, by the way, is like a name. I know he doesn't have like an online presence or whatever, but like he was, I believe, the only person to ever hold a rank 1 in 2 of the HEMA ratings simultaneously. He was a student of Mark Wickersham, who is the, you know, director of Five Rings classical fencing, with a living lineage going back to Santelli. So myself, through Mike, through Mark Wickersham, through somebody else, reaches Santelli. So I'm part, technically, of what's called a living lineage, again, through Mike Roth. And just to be clear, this is classical fencing, right? So we're talking like saber, small sword, and a little bit of rapier. I never cared about those last two though. Saber was the thing for me. Always has been. So yeah, you know, by this time, you know, I'm really learning fast. You know, I have a lot of excellent like sparring partners. You know, people like Scott Bradley, excellent longsword fencer. Gabriel Pottebaum, one of my closest training partners. Messer extraordinaire. You know, Bryce Lohman, another tournament winner. James Glacken, one of my favorite people. It was really nice because I really found like my home within Heartland HEMA. Sorry, that's the name of the club. And really, you know, that was the majority of my time, like in fencing, was there, Kansas City, Heartland HEMA, really kind of until now, because now I have my own club that I'm very proud of. I love my students. We're growing quite quickly. But the story on that is interesting too, because I was at a tournament one day, and there are these two kids, and you've seen them on my channel now. You know, Titus and Kane. They're regular faces like on my channel. But we're at a tournament, and I find these two kids, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so good," or whatever. You guys are, it's fine. And basically, like the thing with them is they live in the city that I came from. They are training at the club that I left, you know, so many years ago. And, you know, tale as old as time, they're experiencing the same problems that I did. So they approach me and they ask me to start a club. And now we're here. And it's an interesting thing too now, like running my own club, you know, sort of transitioning from, you know, focusing on my own performance into like a teaching role. It's definitely like a new experience for sure. I found that it's sort of like deepened my understanding of the sport, not just like in like the physical like fencing aspect, like, you know, the culture, right? How we grow things, how people grow, and how the culture as a whole grows. And it can definitely be exhausting sometimes, you know, guys, I'm getting older now, okay? Like, look, I have very many, you know, years left in me, like in this sport, but like, these kids are like 20 years old, dude. Okay? Like, they are catching me on like some of like the wackiest shit sometimes, and it's good. It's good for me. You know, one of my fears in starting my own club was that, you know, my progress as a fencer was going to have to like stop, or was going to have to stall due to like me needing to like focus on other people. And I have found that, you know, to not be the case, because like I am training with these kids who like, you know, they really care, you know, they really care. They want to be good. They do a lot of at home, like homework. And yeah, they catch me slipping all the fucking time. God. So it's cool. It's cool. It's definitely like an exciting thing. It's definitely something that like I'm proud to do, even though it's certainly exhausting at times. But yeah, you know, that's kind of like where we're at now. Not really sure if there's anything else to say about like my trajectory as a fencer. So yeah, guys, I hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you once again to everybody who's like subscribed, to everybody who likes my content. This is a big deal to me, you know. I feel like I've been a sort of lifelong, like, you know, presenter of things, and you know, getting 100,000 subscribers on YouTube is definitely a big deal for me. It's a huge honor, and I don't know, I just appreciate it. I'm very deeply thankful. So if you enjoyed this, leave a like, leave a comment, do all of the things that help me in the algorithm, and thank you very much, guys.